A business can earn a profit for the products and services it offers. The word business comes from the word busy and means doing things it works on regular basis. And to start our program today, we have a very prominent guest with us. He is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS. Dr. Anand Bose is the Principal Advisor, Government of India Heritage Project. He is also the one-man expert commission on labor to prepare an action plan for the welfare and development of the workforce in the context of COVID-19. He has authored 40 books in English, Malayalam and Hindi, including novels, short stories and essays. 4 of his books have become bestsellers. Dr. Bose is a housing expert, innovator, writer, orator and visionary. The path-breaking institutions set up by him, such as Nirmiti Kendra, Building Center, District Tourism Council and Habitat Alliance, have been replicated at the state, national and global level. He was the head of the prestigious Supreme Court Committee on the Treasures of Sri Padmanabha Swami Temple. Dr. Bose is a recipient of 30 national and international awards, including United Nations Global Best Practice Award. He also received prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. Kerala government termed him man with load of ideas. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji called him inspired civil servant, and our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi called him man of ideas. So, Dr. Bose, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Now, today we are having our topic is COVID-19 revival of businesses. Now, you are very well connected with the labor because you are a one-man expert commission also, and you knows the conditions of the labor, because no business can take place unless the workers are not there. So we would like to know from you your opinion about the COVID-19 revival of businesses. Dr. Anand Bose, please.
Thank you, Goel sir. In fact, the question now before the nation is survival or revival. We thought we can talk only about survival, but I'm happy that we have reached a position where we are talking of revival. And revival of the MSME is very important in the restructuring of post-COVID India. I remember Pardon?
Yes, please continue.
Yeah. In my official assignment, when I was asked to give some input on what should be the shape of things to come in post-COVID India, I had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Sudhir Balko, who is now with us. So he is the one who first suggested to me that if there should be buoyancy in our economy, the MSME has to open up, which is very true. Later on, I found that MSME accounts for 29% of our GDP and 48% of our exports. Not a small thing at all. And moreover, MSME is a sector which gives employment to the labor. So from that point of view also, when we think about the buoyancy, if our economy has to bubble, we have to focus on the MSME. And the MSME is fraught with a lot of problems. Because in small scale sector, micro sector, medium industries, the margin of error is much less. Their carrying capacity is much less. They cannot cope with the unexpected for a long time. For instance, this COVID lockdown, I think the saturation point has come. I am told by the experts that no MSME will be able to withstand this lockdown for more than 3 months, yes. Now that breaking point has come. Now government has to step in. Government has decided to step in. As all of you know, of course we have the, what shall I say, the makeover man, Dr. Abraham is with us. He has a track record of, creating loss-making industries to profit-making industries. Even now, I'm told in the COVID days also he has done that. I leave that to them. But from the point of view of the present assignment which I have as a part of the government machinery for post-COVID operations, I would say that government has to step in and handhold the MSME which is in distress. And government has done it. I'll come to the details later as we proceed with the discussion. But I'm sure the government has given right focus on MSME. The 3 lakh crores is going to be pumped into the MSME. The Reserve Bank has given a lot of instructions to the bankers that bank assistance to the MSME should be less painful. In fact, without collateral, assistance will be given. And for those MSMEs which have a good track record, government will even come forward for equity infusion of up to 15%. And those stressed MSMEs are given special support. I'm sure that all these things will lead to a revival of the MSME. Of course, there are more to it than meets the eye, which as and when we proceed, I think government will step in, the civil society has to step in, and of course, we have to listen first to those who are in the sector so that, let us hear straight from the horse's mouth. After listening to them, I will certainly give my opinions about those points which are raised here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bose, for giving your initial comments. And you have mentioned that the government is trying its best to open the MSMEs and by infusing 3 lakhs crores as well as giving the instructions to the banks from the RBI to release the loans to MSME sectors on priority basis, even to infuse the equity where the MSMEs have performed very good, and to the stressed MSMEs also. Now I would like to go to our other guest, the second guest. He is Dr. P.K. Abraham. Dr. P.K. Abraham is the turnaround strategist and inspiring leader. He is the CEO of True Coat Paints Kochi. Dr. Abraham was General Manager of Fertilizer and Chemicals Travancore, popularly known as FACT Limited. He was Managing Editor and Managing Director of Rashtra Deepika, which is the first Malayalam newspaper. He was Director of the famous MacFast Business Schools in Kerala and Dean of Xavier Institute of Management, Bangalore. He's an icon of success for many leaders in media today. People who had worked with him had reached in their career in various fields. He encouraged warriors and worked with them to revive the project successfully. Now Dr. P.K. Abraham, please unmute yourself. Dr. Abraham, please unmute yourself. No, you have, I think we have lost Dr. Abraham, so we will connect him afterwards. So now I will go to our next panelist. He is Mr. Sudhir Kumar B. Mr. Sudhir Kumar B is the Managing Director of Balco Pipes. Balco Group is the largest manufacturer and distributor of PC pipes, conduits, and solvent cements in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka, and other states. Mr. Sudhir was the General Secretary of Kerala PVC Pipe Manufacturers Association. He was the State Teacher Coordinator of Art of Living Foundation. Presently, Art of Living Faculty for Happiness Program and Excel Lead Infusion Excellence through Inspired Leadership for SMEs. He is also National Working Committee member of Laghu Udyog Bharati and Kerala State General Secretary of Laghu Udyog Bharati. Welcome, Mr. Sudhir Kumar, on this show.
Thank you, Goelji.
Mr. Sudhir Kumar, you have heard Dr. Bose. He said that the government has started opening. Government has already infused 3 lakhs crores rupees for MSMEs. They are also giving the loans and they are also ready to put the equity. They are ready to put infuse the equity to the needy MSMEs who are performing good, now, as well as to the stressed MSMEs. Now, you being the manufacturer yourself, an industrialist, we would like to know from, as Dr. Bose said, from the horse's mouth. So, Mr. Sudhir Kumar B, please tell your views, COVID-19 revival of businesses. Mr. Sudhir Kumar B, please.
Sir, everyone, irrespective of nationality, is going through a very tough situation and uncertainty. Importance of Bharat, India is increasing day by day because world is looking at India for solutions because of India's strength in spiritual as well as cultural heritage, of living peacefully with the different religions, coexisting with the different language-speaking communities. Now the government is supporting MSMEs with nearly 3 lakh crore financial assistance. Maybe coming months, government may come with more financial assistance because of the importance of MSME sector as largest employment provider for nearly 11 crore people after agriculture, as well as source of 40% of total export and 45% of manufacturing output. Central government is promoting clusters and CFC common facility centers to manufacturing, import substitutes, and entrepreneurs should see this as a big opportunity to scale up. Micro and small enterprises is not at all small. It is big, too big in terms of capital employed. It is 11.8 lakh crore. In terms of value addition, it is 6.28 lakh crore. It means annually every rupee invested in micro and small sector yields more than 50% value addition. And now all our industries, especially MSME sector, is started opening up, and government is giving hand-holding. So I think immediately within 2 to 3 months, we can, especially in SME sectors, can come up with the support of, open up with the support of the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sudhir Kumar, for giving your views that yes, the MSME sector can come up with the support of the government. Now, I would like to go to our next guest, but before that, Dr. Abraham, can you unmute yourself, please? Dr. Abraham? No, I think he's still. So I will go to our next guest. He's Rotarian Mukesh Singhal. Rotarian Mukesh Singhal is the director of Anand Corrugators, a leading packaging company of Uttar Pradesh. He is also the director of Shri Harish Packaging Private Limited. He is the director of Krishna International School. He is also the director of Trinity Buildtech, which is a Class 1 construction company of Smart City India Limited. He is the district governor-elect for 2021-22 of Rotary International District 3110 of UP and Uttaranchal. Welcome, Rotarian Singhal, to our program. Now, you have seen, you have heard what Dr. Bose has mentioned and what Mr. Sudhir Kumar has mentioned. उन्होंने बताया, Dr. Bose ने, कि हम गवर्नमेंट की ओर से 3 लाख करोड़ का पैकेज दिया गया है एमएसएमईज को. उन्होंने ये भी बताया कि बैंक्स को इंस्ट्रक्शंस दिए गए हैं लोन देने के लिए, रियायत जल्दी से जल्दी सारे एमएसएमईज को. और अब उन्होंने यही बताया कि निवेश करने को भी गवर्नमेंट तैयार है इक्विटी में, एमएसएमईज में, जो अच्छा परफॉर्म कर रही हैं. और जो स्ट्रेस एमएसएमईज हैं उनको भी कुछ मॉनिटोरियम या कुछ और रिलैक्सेशन गवर्नमेंट देने को तैयार है. नाउ, आप क्या सोचते हैं, क्या इससे रिवाइवल ऑफ द बिजनेस जो अभी तक गवर्नमेंट ने किया है हो जाएगा? Yes, Dr. Ibrahim, we can hear you. Just hold on. I will call you once I will finish.
But I'm not getting it. Somehow the voice has lost.
Dr. Ibrahim, we can hear you. Please, we can hear you. So, Mr. Singhal, आप अपने व्यूज बताइए कि आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे. आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे? Dr. Ibrahim, I am keeping you mute because if you will speak, then the camera will be disturbed. So please keep yourself mute right now. Once the program, I will call you, then you can unmute yourself. So, Singhal साहब, आप अपने व्यूज क्या देना चाहेंगे कि किस तरह जो गवर्नमेंट ने जिस तरह करा है, पैकेज दिए हैं, क्या इससे रिवाइवल बिजनेस का संभव है, या आप एज ए इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट आप और कुछ उम्मीद रखते हैं, या आप सोचते हैं कि अब वो टाइम आ गया है जब हमें रिवाइवल करना ही है पड़ेगा बिजनेस का, और वो हम कर सकते हैं विद द सपोर्ट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, जैसा भी सुधीर कुमार जी ने बताया। तो नाउ अब हम सुनते हैं कोविड-19 रिवाइवल ऑफ बिजनेसेस फ्रॉम रोटरियन मुकेश सिंघल, प्लीज।
थैंक यू गोयल साहब। गोयल साहब, हर सिचुएशन के दो पहलू होते हैं, एक पॉजिटिव एक नेगेटिव। अब ये अपने ऊपर डिपेंड करता है कि हम उसकी किस तरीके से उसको पकड़ते हैं। अगर हम उसकी नेगेटिव तलाशेंगे तो हम नेगेटिव ही तलाशते चले जाते हैं और हम माइनस में चले जाते हैं। और जब हम किसी चीज के पॉजिटिव देखते हैं कि इसका पॉजिटिव आउटकम क्या है, तो उस पॉजिटिव आउटकम के सहारे हम अपने आप को रिवाइव भी कर सकते हैं। बहुत बढ़िया बात डॉक्टर बोस ने कही कि सर्वाइवल से हम रिवाइवल तक आने की बात कर रहे हैं, और वाकई में बहुत अच्छी बात है कि हम इतनी जल्दी बिजनेस स्टार्ट करने के बाद सर्वाइवल से रिवाइवल पर आ रहे हैं। और डेफिनेटली इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है, बिजनेस ने पिछले 1 महीने में बहुत अच्छा ग्रो किया है। इतना एक्सपेक्टेशन किसी को भी नहीं थी कि इतना जल्दी इतने सारे डेवलपमेंट्स होंगे। डेफिनेटली गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत इसमें पॉजिटिव काम किया है, एक इतना बड़ा पैकेज दिया। लेकिन एक थोड़ा सा जो इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट या बिजनेसमैन को था, उनकी एक्सपेक्टेशन ये थी कि डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट क्या मिलेगा। सो दीज ऑल बेनिफिट्स आर इनडायरेक्ट बेनिफिट्स। उनको एक जिस तरीके का संदेश जा रहा था बात करते में, वो ये जा रहा था कि डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट्स मिलने चाहिए। मैं बिल्कुल इस बात से सहमत हूं कि डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट किसी भी चीज का इलाज कभी नहीं हो सकते, क्योंकि वो डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट वन टाइम होता है और इनडायरेक्ट बेनिफिट लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए होता है, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है। और मैं चूंकि प्रिंटिंग और पैकेजिंग की लाइन से जुड़ा हूं, तो मेरे साथ बहुत सारे सेक्टर जुड़े हुए हैं, जिनमें मीडियम भी हैं, स्मॉल भी हैं और बड़े भी हैं। इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है, एमएसएमई बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं। मेरे क्लाइंट्स में बहुत सारे एक्सपोर्टर्स भी इंक्लूड हैं, और इसमें जो हम लोग सोच रहे थे कि चाइना का काम कम होने के बाद विजिट्स लोगों की इंडिया की तरफ आएंगी, और जो यूरोपियन पार्टीज हैं वो इंडिया में आएंगी, और डेफिनेटली ऐसा हो रहा है। पहले क्या हुआ करता था कि पहले कोई भी डेवलपमेंट होता था तो पार्टी 3-3, 4-4 महीने लगाती थी किसी चीज को पास करने के लिए। बट अभी क्या हो रहा है, अभी वो ओपन ऑर्डर्स की बात कर रहे हैं। वो लोग बात कर रहे हैं कि हमें मटेरियल कब तक मिल जाएगा, यानी अब वो सीधे जो डेवलपमेंट स्टेज थी उससे हट के आगे तक की बात कर रहे हैं। इसका मतलब यह है कि आने वाले समय में डेफिनेटली हमको अच्छा होना चाहिए, बिजनेस भी। गवर्नमेंट डेफिनेटली बहुत अच्छे काम कर रही है, बट 2-3 चीजों पर छोटी छोटी सी समस्याएं हैं। जैसे अभी बोस साहब ने कहा कि डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट लोन में बैंक से दिया गया, लेकिन मैं अपना ही केस आपको बताऊं तो मुझे बैंक में जाने के बाद 15 दिन बाद मुझे उसकी परमिशन मिल पाई, और अभी बहुत सी ऐसी इंडस्ट्री हैं जिनको अभी तक परमिशन नहीं मिली है। सो हम अपना टाइम गंवा रहे हैं। एक्चुअली गवर्नमेंट का व्यू अच्छा है, बट जो ब्यूरोक्रेसी है या जो आगे का स्टेज पे जितना आना चाहिए वो उतना आगे नहीं आ पा रहा है। दूसरा एक और चीज है, जीएसटी के मामले में थोड़ा इजीनेस करनी पड़ेगी गवर्नमेंट को, क्योंकि जीएसटी से आदमी उसकी जो कॉम्प्लिकेशन से परेशान है, तो कुछ कॉम्प्लिकेशंस कम करके दूसरा जो रिफंड मिलना चाहिए वो रिफंड समय से नहीं मिलता है। एक बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा आदमी के प्रॉफिट का जीएसटी में फंसा हुआ है। अगर इसका जो निराकरण है वो ऑटोमेटिक कर दिया जाए, ऑनलाइन कर दिया जाए, तो बहुत आसानी हो जाएगी। तो मुझे लगता है प्रोस्पेक्ट्स अच्छे हैं, और डेफिनेटली वी विल डू बेटर। कुछ चीजें गवर्नमेंट भी बढ़ा रही है, और कुछ उम्मीद करेंगे कि हम भी इस तरीके से प्रयास करें कि काम को और बेहतर कर सकें।
हम इस तरह का प्रयास करें, एंड वी विल डू बेटर डेफिनेटली। जो लाइक व्हाट मिस्टर मुकेश सिंघल, रोटेन मुकेश सिंघल has said that the government is doing their best, we are also doing our best. The only thing is there is a red tape is for disbursement of the loan, which is not, they are not getting on time, as well as he has also mentioned that because of the China thing, but and he also mentioned about the direct benefits. Because what happened, the business people in India are expecting the same at par what they have seen in UK and USA, where the salary of the staff was reimbursed or given up to 70 to 80% by the government. But we have to also consider the financial conditions of the government of India as well as the government of UK or USA. We cannot compare in that way. But yes, government has given the package. And I'm sure that the red tape is which you have mentioned will definitely go. Dr. Bose will definitely take this point and see to it that it should not be there. Now I would like to go to my next guest. He's Mr. Tom Serek. He is the Vice President and Business Head, Auto Finance of the Bhavan International Group Holding LLC, Sultanate of Oman, Muscat. The Bhavan International is a diversified group with business interests in various countries in Middle East and Africa. They are the leading distributors of major automotive brands in Middle East. Mr. Tom is having industry experience of 35 years of dealing in media, finance, and automobiles. Welcome, Mr. Tom, on this show. Now, you have heard what Dr. Bose has mentioned. You have heard what Mr. Sudhir Kumar has mentioned, as well as the Rotarian Mukesh Singhal has mentioned. And the common thing which they have mentioned is that the government of India is trying their best to open and support the MSMEs so that the business can start, revive, and for that, whatsoever the government can do, they are doing. Now, what are your views? Although you are not in India, but you are watching everything, you know everything because you have so much experience. So now we would like to know your views on COVID-19 revival of businesses. Mr. Tom, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goyal. And first of all, thank you for inviting me to this discussion. I've heard from Dr. Bose, Mr. Sudhir, and Mr. Singhal, very, very practical and down-to-earth approach to how to come back and revive the business. I would like to put a very, very basic, some points which I thought is very, very essential for each and every business to think about. I'm sure all of us know this word adversity quotient. If you're not familiar with the concept, it is your ability to adapt to a crisis or a situation which is difficult to manage. And we are today faced with a crisis as an individual, as well as an organization, and especially as a business. Adversity quotient was a term which was coined by Dr. Paul Stokes in the year 1997, which said, your IQ, your EQ, your SQ is not good enough. Your ability to adapt to crisis and adversities is what really makes a man. I think it's very true in this current situation for individuals as well as for businesses, how to adapt to the particular situation. The government is supportive. They are pumping in money, 3 lakh crores. The businesses are willing to pitch in. But I want to cite 2 or 3 examples where I have personally worked, where situation was bad for the company or the industry, but there are some companies which really worked hard and come out of it. In the early 90s, the international market opened up to India because the license Raj was over and the liberation in business came in. Many, many businesses went under at that point of time. But one group where I was working was Tata Group. And Tata Group really came out of the crisis situation by reinventing themselves. They went into a global scale. Rather than succumbing to the situation, Ratan Tata, the leader, took ownership and made sure that the group came out of that crisis situation. And today is a $100 billion group and internationally respected. Another example where again I have worked myself is Shriram Transport Finance Company, today a name to reckon with in the transport financing field in India, automotive financing in India, or one of the leading NBFCs in India. In the year 1998, when Reserve Bank of India brought in a condition for accepting deposits, you should have credit rating and many non-banking finance companies at that time couldn't adapt to the situation and went under. But Shriram Group survived and today is a very big success story, thanks to the chairman, Mr. Tyagarajan. And the third example is sitting amongst us. I am going back to Deepika, where I had the opportunity to work and I was part of the team of Dr. P.K. Abraham at that time. When he joined Deepika in 1992, Deepika was actually facing a crisis of revenues crisis of cash flow, and we were finding it extremely difficult to meet two ends. He brought in a vision, communicated this vision across to every member in the organization, and executed to a plan. And this is what I feel today every business in India needs, whether you're a large organization, whether you're an MSME, whether you're a small businessman, what you need. And I would summarize it in four sentences. One, the government is willing to support, the industry is willing to support, the global market is willing to support India, but it is for the individual business to step in and say, you acknowledge we have a crisis in front of us, which is manageable. Your leadership to take ownership of taking courage to come with a solution or a plan which can be communicated to all your stakeholders. The stakeholders include your customers, first your employees, then your customers, then your vendors and your suppliers, and also your shareholders. And the most important, your financiers. Because a financier, like I am in the finance industry, I know how we look at a situation like this. We see it as a high risk, and we feel that if the business do not have a plan in place, they are doomed to fail. And we would be the first one to take action and chart the business to death. Now it is for the leadership to demonstrate and communicate with the financiers saying that I am fighting it. I got a plan in place. My employees are willing to work, and we will take it forward. And I think if we do all of this, we are there to stay with the support of the government, with the support of the industry, and with the support of the international market. And I think India is very, very well positioned in this time of crisis to take it forward. Over to you, Mr. Goyal.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Tom, and giving the details how the turnaround stories, successful stories of Tata's or Shriram Finance and other, even the Deepka company, where you worked and you have seen how the leadership can change. And according to you, this is the right time when the MSMEs to decide what they have to do, and with the support of government, they can do. Now, I would like to go to Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, you have heard everyone except Dr. Abraham, because I think is still having some patient problem. Now, my question to you is, are the government guidelines on the reopening of businesses feasible in India?
Yeah, I think the answer has been given by Mr. Tom. I was listening to him very intently. He spoke not just as a businessman, but as a philosopher. Appreciate that. See, he said, this adversity quotient, that's very important in a crisis situation like this. Shakespeare has said, sweet are the uses of adversity. I think in a business context, Mr. Tom is saying that Shakespeare is right. It all depends on in you what you want to become. If you want to accept defeat, you will get it. If you want to accept success, you will get it. There is a goddess in the Indian ethos, Indian mythology. Her name is Tatha Astu. She is sitting inside your forehead. Tatha Astu means let it be so. As the Christians after their prayer will say Amen. Same thing. Tatha Astu means Amen. Let it be so. If at the beginning of any venture, you feel, oh, I can't achieve this. I don't have the resources. I don't have anybody to help me. I have the experience. I might not succeed in this. Then the goddess from within you will say, Tatha Astu. But if you say, who is there to counter my war horse? I am going to win. I am 2 inches taller than Napoleon. Why should I lose? If that is the spirit, Tatha Astu will say, Tatha Astu. Let it be so. What Mr. Tom has been underlining is this and a psychological concept that is called auto-suggestion. Before the beginning of any venture, if you feel I am going to succeed, your mind suggests success within you. That unleashes all the quotients of success factors of success which are relevant within you. I think this is an excellent lesson. And he said, acknowledge there is a problem. Once you acknowledge there is a problem, you will find a solution for that. This is what the Japanese did. See, the COVID has not devastated the whole country. India is not like what Japan was after the Second World War. After the Second World War, Japan was totally devastated. Nobody thought Japan will ever rise again. The rising sun, they thought, has already set forever. Because after the Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the total rout, nobody expected Japan to survive. But when Japan started the process of modernization, you know, a strange thing happened there. The samurai who were enjoying special privileges throughout the centuries, they came forward and decided to forego all the special privileges which they had. Japan stood as one, and now where is Japan? And then again coming back to Tom and his idea about the adversity quotient. You know, you should seize opportunities. You might have heard of a MSME. I don't know whether that term is used in Japan. A small man, an engineer with no money with him, no money. He had a dream. That is Akio Morita. Akio Morita started the Sony Corporation. You see, no one had even heard of electronics. Electronics became a part and parcel of modernity. And secondly, when the Vietnam War was going on, the American ships went to offload supplies to the American soldiers and were coming back without anything, any load. The Japanese found an opportunity in that. They said, why don't you send your ships through our ports? We may load it with something for export, something to here. Then they sent their cars. No one had ever heard of the Japanese cars. America wanted only Lincoln Continental and all those big cars. When these little cars came from Japan, Americans wanted only the Japanese cars. Therefore, admit there is an issue, try to find a solution. You activate the adversity quotient within you. I think this COVID may perhaps be an opportunity for revival of the MSME in this country. And then, of course, Mr. Mukesh, he said about the red tape, which is a fact. But I think having been a bureaucrat for the last 45 years, I think red tape is now slowly coming down. I remember 30 years back, when I was working in the planning department, I got a paper which related to the industries department. So I marked on that. This relates to the industries department, put my initials and sent it to the industries department. You know what the industries secretary wrote? This is meant for the industries department, but the joint secretary planning has wrongly initialed. So you please erase your initials and initial your erasure. That was a red tape at that time. I think now, COVID has brought us together. The world has seen that India has a bureaucracy. When I say bureaucracy, it's not just the IAS, IPS variety. All the clerks, the inspectors, the health workers. The health workers, yes. The policemen, the fire force, the civil supplies officers. They all came together, no red tape. Food reaches where it should be. Supplies reach where it is. Doctors reach where they are. So India has proved that red tape is also like something, once we decide to cross the Rubicon, we will. And about Alexander cutting the Gordian knot. Yes, in the city of Gordius, there is a knot. Nobody knows how to untie it. You know what Alexander did? He did not try to untie it. He just took his sword and one cut. He cut the Gordian knot. So the bureaucracy also knows to cut the Gordian knot when it wants. I'm sure that in the changed days, the attitude which has been brought about in the whole society, one of togetherness, I'm sure that we will also survive the post-COVID days and we will be able to revive our MSME in spite of all the difficulties that have been pointed out here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bose, for giving the details, how the government is doing and how the turn around can be done. And you have also mentioned about the red tape is when you said that red tape is there, but it is now far less than what is to be earlier. Now I would like to ask a question to Mr. Sudhir Kumar. Mr. Sudhir Kumar, you are doing business in a very big way. Now, how can businesses overcome the effect of supply chain disruption during the pandemic?
Now, it is initially it was there, but now it is slowly returning to a past position, and our supplies is not affected like that. But initially it was there, but they're changing this hotspots. Many places are coming on the hotspot, and it will affect in some way, but we can overcome this through this in our business. You know, we have, as all of you know, the family concept is the source of strength of India. No, this concept, this family concept, has to be brought in our MSMEs and industries. They are all stakeholders: employers, employees, government institutions, banks, vendors, and consumers. Like a family, we have to face this situation. But we can overcome this through this in our.
Sorry, yes.
As all of you know, the family
Just Dr. Ibrahim, just keep, just. Yes, Mr. Sudhir Kumar, sorry.
So this way, if we can come together as one team, this different stakeholders and one family, and then we can definitely overcome these things and other things also, along with this government giving assistance, financial assistance. There's some training should be given. Now, you are telling this infusing excellence through inspired leadership. We have an opportunity to, in this lockdown period, we have had an opportunity to go back to ourselves through this meditation and yoga. We can do wonders because it is a contribution to the world, and we can bring together all the different sections of the people through yoga and meditation. And that is why this every day, which I belong to in Sri Ravi Shankar's Art of Living Foundation, daily 15 to 20 lakhs people are doing meditation online from 152 countries. And that is that people are slowly recognizing it. So every obstacle, every this shortcomings we can overcome through strengthening our confidence, entrepreneurs' confidence, and people and workers' confidence. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sudhir Kumar, for giving the details. And according to you, there are disruptions in the supply chain, but it is improving only when there is a containment zone. There only the problem is there. Otherwise, it's now normalizing. And you also mentioned that we should do some yoga or something, meditation, so that at least we can be calm during this period. Now, मेरा प्रश्न है सिंगल साहब आपसे, आज जो कंडीशन है, जब मार्केट में डिमांड कम हो चुकी है हर चीज में, हर बिजनेस में, और अभी अगर ना भी रहे हैं, सामान तैयार भी कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अगर डिमांड नहीं है, तो आप कैसे सोचते हैं, आपको क्या लगता है कितना टाइम लगेगा कि जो बिजनेस है वो नॉर्मल हो जाएगा? रिवाइव होने के बाद जो नॉर्मलसी है वो कब तक आएगी?
गोयल साहब बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं आप कि प्रॉब्लम जरूर है कि हम प्रोडक्शन कर लेते हैं और माल उतना नहीं बिक रहा है, ये बात सच है। पर अगर एक महीने की स्थिति देखें तो बहुत सुधार हुआ है। जैसा अभी सुधीर जी ने बताया कि जब पीछे से सप्लाईज नॉर्मल हो रही हैं, आगे डिलीवरी भी नॉर्मल हो रही है और बहुत हद तक नॉर्मलसी की पोजीशन आने लगी है। ऐसा लगता है कि अगर सेम सिचुएशन बरकरार रहती है तो आने वाले 2 महीने में बिजनेस अपनी जगह पर पहुंच जाए। परंतु अगर कोविड-19 की पोजीशन बिगड़ती है तब क्या होगा, इसको लेकर एक जरूर लोगों में संशय है। हालांकि जैसा अभी कहा कि जो कंटेनमेंट एरिया जोन है, उन जोन्स को भी गवर्नमेंट ने शॉर्ट कर दिया है ताकि उसका इम्पैक्ट कम से कम आए। पहले 1 किलोमीटर था, फिर आधा किलोमीटर हुआ, अब वो केवल 100 मीटर है। तो इम्पैक्ट उनके भी बहुत कम हो गए हैं और सप्लाईज भी अब नॉर्मल आने लग गई हैं और मुझे लग रहा है डिलीवरी भी प्रॉपर जा रही है। इम्पैक्ट कुछ सेक्टर को कहे, जैसे जो हाउसिंग सेक्टर है, जो कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर है, वहां थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम है अभी। तो कुछ पर्टिकुलर कुछ सेक्टर्स को ले लीजिए तो वहां समस्याएं हैं, बाकी अदरवाइज समस्याएं बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है। और एक और बहुत अच्छी बात है, हम हिंदुस्तानी लोग जो हैं वो केवल फाइनेंशियल उस पर व्यापार नहीं करते हैं, हम लोग दिल से व्यापार करते हैं। तो दिल से व्यापार करने के कारण हमारे पीछे वाला और आगे वाला हमारे साथ उसी कोऑर्डिनेशन में जुड़ा हुआ है। अगर कोई समस्या है तो हम उसको मिल बांट के निपटा लेते हैं। तो इस बात का भी बहुत बड़ा बेनिफिट इंडियंस के साथ है।
Okay, thank you, Rotarian Singhal, for giving your views. And according to you, you are hopeful that within 2 months the condition can be normal if COVID will not be more effective, or if it can be treated properly. If the COVID is treated properly, and if if everything is permits nicely, then we can be able to revive ourselves and we'll be doing the normal business in 2 months. And you have also mentioned that that we are not only for the money, but we do the business with heart, where we have a compensation, and we used to see to it that even the purchaser or the seller, whosoever, if they are in trouble, we try to sort out the problems mutually. Now, Dr. Abraham, can you listen me right now? Dr. Abraham? No. Okay. So now I'm going to Mr. Tom. Mr. Tom, you are in the Muscat, and you know the condition of what is happening in India. You have seen that China has been outcasted, outclassed by almost all the governments, and in India especially because of our border problem, as well as the way the COVID has come. Everybody knows that it has originated from China. Now, when this is the situation, when the China's produce are not going to come to India easily like what we were getting earlier, do you think India will take over import substitutions of goods produced from China?
Yes, Mr. Goyal, I think India has the capability of taking over the import substitution from China, because if you see, when the COVID hit India, we were not producing PPE kits in India. Today, we are one of the largest producers of PPE kits in the world. And even we had this, a lot of other stuff which are related to COVID management, which was not being manufactured in India for obvious reasons, because China was supplying globally at a much, much cheaper price compared to what probably we were supplying, or we did not have the wherewithal or the intention to manufacture such things. But within a very, very short period of time, we were able to reinvent ourselves. For example, the Mahindra started producing the ICU kits, ventilators. It was such a short period of time we started manufacturing. So we have the capability. It's only our attitude to work towards that. And I would like to come in here, because we were talking about the government bureaucracy, which was affecting India's manufacturing sector or the business sector. I was listening to a talk by one of the leading producers of blood bank in the world. He is from Trivandrum. Thermopenpol, I think. Thermopenpol.
Balgopal.
Yeah, Mr. Balgopal. And I was listening to Mr. Balgopal, and I'm sure Dr. Bose knows them very well.
They have been there for...
He was your batchmate in IAS. Yeah, he quit IAS and started this. And when I was listening to him, he was mentioning tape is all in the mind. Yes, you have to work harder to get across things. You have to work harder to get the employees to accept. And Kerala is not known as a friendly state for labor relations. But then this organization has succeeded, and it is one of the most respected organizations across the world in the field of blood bank manufacturing. So look at it this way, it's all in how we are willing to manage. Definitely there are going to be problems. But I think given the type of people and the skills what we have, if we just tweak with our attitude towards what we are expected to do, and like every stakeholder within the community of business is willing to pitch in a little extra, I think India is going to go a great way, because the government is willing to pitch in, The business people definitely have to, because they have no other go to survive in this marketplace. And the employees, I'm sure, is seeing not a very easy time ahead. So if all of us pitch in together, I think it's just a matter of time. We will be able to come out of the current situation, and definitely we will be able to replace China as a major manufacturing hub.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tom, for giving your views that India can replace the China as far as the. But the only thing is that yesterday only we were having a media conference on real estate. Now, one of the panelists said that the clearance for the permissions in India for the real estate or the development of a plot, it takes sometimes a year or more. While in China, they say it's a single window clearance, and they once they submit the proposal, they may get in 48 hours. Now, yes, if we have to replace, we have to go. Now I can see Dr. Abraham. Dr. Abraham, can you hear me? Dr. Abraham? Dr. Abraham, can you hear me? Please close your mobile. Dr. Abraham, please close your mobile.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Now we can hear you. You speak about.
No, I cannot hear you.
Okay, so we are sorry, we can't do if. Or you want to speak, you can speak directly, Dr. Abraham, if you can hear. No, so sorry. So now I would like to go back to Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, you have heard what the panelists have said, and they have given the replies of the questions also. Now, my question again to you is, when this is the situation, when MSME is ready to work, government is ready to support, then why there is a delay? Why? Because the other day somebody has suggested that everything like in for others also, when we should have a national. We should.
I will tell you when to start speaking.
Kutta, ഇതിന്റെ panel discussion is over almost.
So now what I suggest, Dr. Bose, whether we can have a national policy for each and everything, because when there is an emergency, the central government always take the decisions, and all the state governments has to follow. Yes, we believe in federalism, but today the condition is more than emergency. When what we are seeing that in some of the state the policies are different, the other state the policies are different. What you say, can we have a universal or uniform policy for each and every state, which the central government in consultation with all the state government decide, so that the red tape will go said that then please Dr. Bose, please.
You know, this brings us to the basic issues of the federalist structure which is enshrined in the Constitution of India. As you know, we have a central list, a union list, a state list, and a concurrent list. It's very well defined where the central government has the powers, where the state government has the powers, and where the powers are exercised jointly. That is in the normal circumstances. This is a new normal or an abnormal circumstance. There has been a paradigm shift. There, as per the Act of 1897, see, it is the Act of 1897 which is still valid as far as epidemic diseases are concerned. Section 2 gives all the powers to the central government. In a situation like this, medical emergency, even though we don't call it emergency because emergency is the term, recalls very sad memories in our mind, therefore I'm not using the word. But this situation gives the upper hand to the government of India. And to be realistic, I would say that the Indian federalism is really working well. So the decisions of the central government are conveyed by the Prime Minister are accepted and implemented by all the chief ministers, in spite of party differences. For instance, in Kerala, there is a Marxist who are ruling. And in Punjab, it's the opposition Congress which is in power. And in Bengal, you know, Mamata Banerjee stand. But as far as COVID control is concerned, I would say that there has been exemplary illustration of the success of our federal structure. So I don't think there is anything which can perhaps upset our strength of our administration. But red tapeism is an aberration. So red tapeism is not because there are no rules. It's not because there are no supervising authorities. Red tapeism is a fact of life. Red tapeism is a feeling in the mind. See, this is something where each and every officer has to see that I'm working for my country. I cannot be exploiting my brethren, the MSMEs or the businessmen, for my gain. And secondly, we have a soft state. You know, we have rules and regulations, but we don't implement it properly. So it's like, you know, triangle having three sides, but occasionally you can have a fourth one. That soft state approach has to go. Strict action has to be taken against erring officials. But now, and surprisingly, I find that the officers are living up to the mark. Maybe there are exceptions here and there, against which there are supervisory mechanisms here to punish them. For instance, since Mukesh raised a real issue of the banks reluctant to provide finance without rigmarole, I say that on June 1st itself, on one particular day, 3,500 loans were dispersed to the MSMEs by the banks. That's a change which you should notice. We need not mistake the surface dirt for the substance underneath. I think the substance underneath the Indian bureaucracy is good. It all depends on how it is made to work. See, here a mention was made by Tom about how the turnaround made by Ratan Tata, isn't it? Because we don't have the benefit of Dr. Abraham here because of technical problems. But he has a track record of making over. Deepika, for instance, you know. Deepika was bubbling during his time. I have been a witness to that. I was at that time Principal Secretary to the Chief Minister. Deepika had come to the central stage of media activity. So it is possible. Now, if serious issues can be discussed in a lighter way, I think things will become very clear. Since Ratan Tata's name was mentioned, there is a story about him. See, Ratan Tata has the habit of taking all his senior executives on a picnic once the profit is declared. He knows they have all worked for that. One day, they happened to come to Kerala, God's own country. They went for a boating in the Nayar Dam, beautiful place. But that was just about the time when, because of the overpopulation of the crocodile farm, crocodiles were released into the reservoir. Nobody knows. The boating started. Then they saw crocodiles in the lake. Ratan Tata had an idea. He said, if anybody can swim across this crocodile-ridden lake, I will offer him 10 crores of rupees. Suddenly they found the chief finance officer swimming inside a lake, crocodiles chasing, but he's swimming. He reached the shore. Everybody complimented him. Everybody complimented his courage. And then he started asking his wife, tell me, why did you push me into this lake first? That's what they say, behind every successful man is a woman. So now we have all been pushed into the lake, crocodile-infested lake post-corona days. The MSME, the bureaucracy, the politician, the doctors, all of us are in the crocodile-infested lake. There is no way but to swim. Once we swim together, we will win. That is what Julius Caesar has taught. Burn the boats. Once he reached goal, he knew they had to win the war. They said, first burn the boats in which he came. You have no way but to win. Therefore, as Tom said, as Mukesh said, and as Sudhir has already explained through his life's mission, I think there is nothing which we cannot overcome. As Martin Luther said, we shall overcome. Post-COVID India will be a brighter India, a more wealthy India, a richer India. Thank you.
wealthy India, richer India, as well as very nicely you have mentioned that we all are in the crocodile lake and we all have to swim together to overcome this pandemic. Now I would like Mr. Sudhir Kumar to give your suggestions to the government, if any, and your advice to the public. Public means general public as well as the fellow MSMEs. Mr. Sudhir Kumar, please.
Yes, sir. Suggestions to people. The people should see this lockdown period of uncertainty as opportunity to go inward and tap the enormous potential in us through yoga and meditation. Moreover, people should strengthen their immune system through yoga and meditation, which is the contribution of India to the world. Yoga and meditation can bring together different sections of people of different cultures and religion. Through meditation, we people can face the uncertainty in a very peaceful manner. People are okay, and suggestions to government. Government is taking different welcome steps to bring confidence in entrepreneurs by providing financial assistance in different modes. Government has to take unusual and uncommon steps to face these unusual happenings, which our government or other governments have not faced till now, which I can assure our government under the able leadership of our Prime Minister is capable of doing it. Moreover, along with financial assistance for working capital through banks, government through MSME department give training to entrepreneurs like infusing excellence through inspired leadership. I Excel, I Lead, a course exclusively designed by which I belong to, this Art of Living Foundation, for entrepreneurs to develop confidence to face uncertainty. And also I have a
मांगती है अपने पास कि आप कोई सजेशन है या कोई प्रॉब्लम है उस पर लिखिए। इस तरह की अगर स्टेट वाइज कुछ बन जाए तो उनसे क्या होगा, जो एमएसएमई के लोग हैं वो अपनी समस्याओं को रख पाएंगे और उनके निदान के लिए भी कह पाएंगे। बाकी अपने साथियों के लिए सिर्फ 4 लाइनों में अपनी बात कहूंगा। गतिमान रहे इस समय के संग संग, आओ कदम बढ़ाएं, जीने की नई वजह तलाशें, तरीके नए बनाएं, रखें विश्वास स्वयं में नव सृजन का, खुद भी आगे बढ़ें और औरों को भी राह दिखाएं।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सिंगल साहब। औरों को भी राह दिखाएं, खुद भी आगे बढ़ें। एंड द सजेशन which we have given first was about the advice to the suggestions to the government is about the petroleum product. Yes, that is a burning issue today. We are going to have a debate or the discussion on the conference on that subject separately. So we cannot comment on that right now. As far as your suggestion for a single window or your suggestions that the state government should also have the windows where the MSMEs can give their suggestions and tell their problems or whatnot. So that's a very good suggestion. I'm sure Dr. Bose will be helpful for this particular suggestion, because definitely if the state government will also start taking the suggestions directly from MSMEs like Government of India is doing, then definitely all those problems which the MSME sector is facing can be removed. Now I would like to go to Mr. Tom. Mr. Tom, what are your suggestions to the government and advice to the public? Mr. Tom, please.
We have heard some very interesting and very practical suggestions from Dr. Bose, Mr. Sudhir, and Mr. Sehgal. And I personally feel that the government at this juncture has to have a lot of patience when dealing with businessmen. You would have seen that they have extended the tax return dates. They have been very lenient with the GST. But the tendency for any government at any point of time is, once they feel things are good, they'll clamp down on the business people and their approach will change. And again, red tapeism will take over and the mindset will change. I think at this juncture, what the government should ideally do is be patient with the businessmen, because that is where the Indian economy is going to revive. So they have to have a plan of action, probably a committee or a set of people who can understand the businessmen on a regular basis and come out with a solution for each and every industry in a different pattern, and especially for the MSME, which is a major sector which is going to revive the Indian economy. Secondly, for the public, the business community, I'll go back to what I started with. I think it's going to be the leadership which is going to hold the fort at this point of time, with the support of the employees, because they are going to be the crux of getting back to normalcy at some point of time, which could also take a long time, because we have just entered the crocodile lake now. How long we have to swim is a question which nobody at this juncture is willing to answer, or I don't think anybody has an answer to that, because we started by saying it could be for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. Today we already crossed 6 months and still we are not seeing the end of the tunnel. So we need to work with the stakeholders, your employees, your customers, and have your action plan ready, but then we should be flexible enough to amend it from time to time, because it may take a long time for the market to open up and things to change in the current situation. But I think we should all take courage, accept, adapt, and move forward. And that's what I would like to say. Back to you, Mr. Goyal.
Accept, adopt, and move forward, Mr. Tom. According to you, and you have given an advice, suggestion to the government that they should be patient with the businessmen. They should not clamp down once the situation is normal. Yes, that is always the case. People always feel that perception is there, but I'm sure now the perception will change, because the government also knows that this situation which has come is unprecedented, and everyone, I will say all the citizens of India supported the government in whatsoever they have asked for. So I'm sure the government will not do that type of act which you were just presuming. And as far as your advice to the public is very beneficial, because if we will keep ourselves intact and if we will see to it that whatsoever the market conditions, we have to adopt our products accordingly, we can be successful. We can't say right now, according to you, that when we will be able to cross the lake of crocodile, means that when this COVID will end. But yes, we have to be patient. Thank you very much for giving this. So today you have seen the other side, the business community, even the bureaucrat, they have spoken and they said what the government is doing. And one common thing was there, that everybody says the government is doing well, which is unusual. Otherwise, always we used to have the complaints. But today, the businessman is saying that government is doing well. Only thing is there are few problems like red tapeism or something, which are also, according to the boss, is quite less. So if the government is doing well, then the revival of business is very, very possible, early possible, depending on how the COVID is going to move. Today, our program is live telecasted on V4 News, News Karnataka, Global TV, Malnadu TV, as well as on Facebook and YouTube. And tomorrow again, we are having a very packed, very powerful program. That is the COVID-19 revival of rural economy. So now I'm sure that you people will be knowing that what we want is that we will bring the leaders or the experts of the field, and we want their views to be given so that you will know what is happening really. We do not want to create any panic or havoc in your mind. Please keep watching and log in at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Bose. Thank you, Mr. Sudhir. Thank you, Mr. Singhal. Thank you, Mr. Tom. And thank you, Dr. Ibrahim. We cannot connect you today, but next time definitely we'll do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.